you know, it doesn't. They don't really give a shit how they do in the regular season. Going out to see a game is just whatever. But beating the MLS team or having a good showing against the MLS team is worth everything. It's worth, beating LA Galaxy was worth more than in 2012 to the Railhawks. It was worth more than anything else than winning the championship that year would have been. And it
Absolutely.
and it's you see that passion in the stands and you see that passion in the players, and it's wonderful, and I'm really excited, and I'm also really excited. Well, sort of, because it's going to happen during the World Cup, so that's going to be kind of awkward. But the next round is going to be spread out over a couple days, so that you can actually, I'll be able to still see my Railhawks play Chivas, and get ready a couple days later to go down to Sporting Park and watch the Loons, and that's the other thing too, because I'm like sort of a dual. I I belong to two places to an extent,
Right.
and I can't. It's hard for me to root for Minnesota when they play NASL teams because they're competing directly against Carolina in the standings for the most part. And so it's hard to go to those games and sit in the supporter section and cheer for Minnesota when every point they gain, especially when they're top of the table, is 1 point I'd rather them not gain because I'm a Carolina fan.
Right.
But in the Open Cup, I want to see all the lower league teams try and beat MLS teams except for DC.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah. Well, as the defending Cup champs, you've certainly got to keep it up,
yeah. By the way, we got an awesome draw.
Oh yeah. Who did you draw?
Tauro FC and Waterhouse FC. And I know we got an awesome draw because when I looked up those teams on Wikipedia, all the player names were red. So
Wait, don't you already know who it's going to be though, or have they not played yet?
no, what I'm saying is when I look up Tauro FC and Waterhouse FC on Wikipedia, and I scroll down to their current squads, all of those players, like their names, are red on Wikipedia.
But I guess my point is, are they playing each other?
What do you mean?
Well, you say you got an awesome draw.
Yeah, you know how the CCL works, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were talking CCL.
Yeah.
I thought we were still talking Open Cup, and I thought we were talking about amateur teams that you had you were possibly going to face. You're talking about the CCL draw that happened, and
Yeah.
you got, what did you get? Like a Guatemalan team and
We got a Panamanian team and a Jamaican team.
wow. And nobody's on Wikipedia.
Like 7 players combined from those two teams on
Well,
Wikipedia.
so the deal is, we've seen it before. The best possible chance that you have to get through CCL is to win your round with a huge goal differential. Because if you can do that, then you're going to skip the Mexican teams in the second, in the knockout phase.
Well, hopefully we will, unless
Yeah.
crazy seeding shit happens.
Which did last year, right? Didn't one Mexican team drop to like 5th or something?
No, this last season, it was pretty straightforward. The Mexican teams that made it through were the top 3, and the MLS teams were the bottom 3.
Maybe it was the year before. I remember there
I
was.
think it was.
Maybe it was the Sounders. The Sounders
think
might
it
have
was.
gone through, and we ended up getting.
You guys hosted it
Santos.
in Leg.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Or no, Tigres. Tigres was first. But Tigres had dropped to like the 5th seed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Mexican team. Yeah, that was kind of nutty. Do you have any other upsets or specials that you want to talk about from last night? I'm trying to remember. Let's see, what do we have? We got.
We talked about Laredo. We talked about PSA. We talked about.
I was really disappointed that RWB Adria didn't make it. I thought that was a really neat story. They are the amateur team that is made up of Czechoslovakians that live in Chicago. And they had made it all the way to this round and played the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and damn near beat them. It was awfully close, and they would have faced their hometown MLS team, Chicago Fire. And I can't. Yeah, I can't think of a better story than an amateur team, a bunch of guys from Chicago who are clearly not only into soccer but actually play it at that USASA level, and that I'm sure most of them are Fire fans. Like, how crazy would that be to get to play your home team in the Open Cup? I mean, that's incredible. It
Yeah,
also means they wouldn't have to travel, and for an amateur team, that's huge.
that is exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like if one day I got really good enough at soccer to play at USASA and happened to get into the Open Cup and play DC United. That'd be
Right.
great.
That's nuts. So
Um,
too bad. I'm sad that story didn't go any further, but
at the
you know.
same time, though, I am sort of glad Pittsburgh moves on to play an MLS team, if only because they've had a really rough season, and they have too good of fans and too pretty a stadium to have the rough season that they're having. So if there's an Open Cup run in them, then I'll be happy for them because I think Pittsburgh. I drove through Pittsburgh recently, and it was a lot prettier than I anticipated. And I really want soccer to work there, and their stadium is great, and they sell out most of the time. And you know, sort of like how I was happy for Indy when they crushed Dayton yesterday.
Yeah.
Like they are struggling in NASL, so their fans don't have a lot to cheer for. But now they're about to play Columbus. Um, I think in Columbus, maybe it might even be in Indianapolis. Either way, whichever way it happens, I'll be rooting against Chris's team. But you know,
Oh, boy, how could we not be talking about this, Ian? We've got the New York matchup that everybody dreamed of.
oh yeah,
We've got the Cosmos playing the Red Bulls
right,
for the
and
for the dominant pro team in New York or the greater New York area, however you'd like to look at that.
it's gonna be at Schuart, I think, right?
I
Where
believe
the
that is
Cosmos play.
correct. Yes.
So
Um,
that'll be interesting. The Cosmos need an injection of life because their attendance has been slipping a shit ton this year from
I
last
am
year.
I am feeling a little bit bad for the Cosmos. I'm not sure how the story goes, but one of their two goals, their first goal was scored in the 16th minute by Jimmy Ockford, who is actually a loan from the Sounders. He's a pretty good center back. I believe we picked him up in the Super Draft, and we are having some pretty strong center back issues right now. I'm not sure on the terms of his loan, but I believe he might be able to be recalled. And if he is, it's probably going to happen before they play that game. I'm not sure how much they're relying on Jimmy Ockford. I think he's had a decent season with the Cosmos, so that might be a little tough for them to kind of swallow at the last second. But yeah, otherwise, man, what a cool matchup. I know there's a lot of MLS, NASL talk, and we don't need to go into all that, but I think it's a great storyline. I'm really excited for those two teams to play.
Well, this is a fantastic opportunity to plug next week. We're going to get a lot of information on this from Dan Dickinson, aka Remy DWD,
Hey, that's
who's
right.
a New York-based soccer journalist. He's going to come on next week, and he can talk all about some Cosmos versus Red Bulls versus New York City FC, who are apparently signing everybody. David Villa and Frank Lampard and everybody.
Yeah, they're just going to sign everybody. And if the Twitter sphere is to be believed, it sounds like Josie's going there too.
Josie tweeted. That's so funny. Josie tweeted today. He's his
I think he
old
said old
old
slash new
slash new
home.
home. See, I thought initially when I just heard the ramblings or whatever that he said like once in future home, which whatever. Eventually he makes his home in New York, but old slash new implies like very new, like tomorrow new.
Right.
And I think it's a good idea. I want Josie to come back. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I just
It's not going to happen. His agent tweeted out that he was simply talking about the men's
yeah.
national team.
Agents
But
are gonna say whatever the hell they want. I mean,
see,
what
I
if we
feel like
get
it's the opposite. Don't I feel like if
what did we
anybody
get
gets
out of Dempsey's agent before?
fired,
What did we get out of Dempsey's agent right before Dempsey signed for Seattle? Didn't we get some other similar misdirection?
that's true. That's absolutely true.
So, um, you got to go pretty quick here. But before that happens, one shout out to someone who I feel really sorry for, Alvaro Saborio.
Oh boy.
I mean, it sucks for RSL, obviously. but it really sucks for him and Costa Rica. He was gonna be one of their top goal scorers if like who they counted on to score goals in Brazil, and seeing him play in Brazil would have been fantastic. And now none of that's gonna happen because he broke his foot.
No, I fully agree. I've got a ton of respect for him, and the Sounders play RSL this weekend, and we are already going to not have to face him since he was in camp. So there's not even a selfish part that says, at least we don't have to play him. Like
Right.
honestly, I feel like for me, RSL is probably the team that we are the most competitive with, that I have the least fiery hate and the most respect for. Like, I want to
That's
beat
fair.
Portland every time because I hate them, and it kind of goes the same for the Galaxy and the teams that we're competing against. But RSL is the only. There's basically three teams since the Sounders joined the league that have been at the very top if you go 5 years worth of points, or 5.5. And those three teams are the Galaxy, and RSL and the Sounders. And
Right.
RSL has been a perennial opponent. We play them in the playoffs every goddamn year,
Hmm.
and we play them 3 times a year. And I really respect the team, and I respect the fans, and I don't have the same hatred for them. Like I want them to be successful, just less successful.
Right.
You
Yeah. No,
know.
and
And they've had a lot of issues. There was so much talk about how are they going to do with Christ gone, and are they going to be the same team? And they lost the basically everything last year. And they've come back and played pretty damn well considering. And now you've got João Plata is also injured, and you've got guys at World
Sandoval.
Cups and Sandoval, and yeah, I mean they're in rough shape. I mean, I plan on taking 3 points from them this weekend, but I wish them the best after that.
Right. Yeah. It sucks for Sabarillo. I was MLS has a record number of people going to the World Cup for them this year, and
Yeah.
that's not going to change because of Sabarillo. But Sabarillo was going to be one of those difference makers. Like there are going to be a lot of people out there, but there aren't going to be a lot of difference makers, and he's going to be one of them. Tim Cahill and Julio Cesar maybe, and maybe not. Maybe
That's a good way to say it. That
yeah.
we're sending a lot, but not all of them are those difference makers. That's a really good point. And yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him as well. I'm looking forward to seeing I'm looking forward to seeing MLS players in places other than the men's national team for the U.S.
Yeah.
So, well, I feel like this was a pretty successful last minute episode. Ian, what do you got any last second things to add? I'm kind of scrolling through. Your Death Loons beat the Des Moines Menace, which is an amateur team, so that's not a shocker.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. The San Antonio Scorpions were down 2-0 and came back
Yeah.
against their amateur team with a vengeance.
Oh, your Sac Republic
Oh
destroyed
yeah,
Fresno.
man. Now to be fair to Fresno, it wasn't that far of a game. They did take a red card in the 41st minute,
Yeah.
so there was definitely a lot of room for Sac to open it up. But I'm really really excited to see, because Sac's next game is going to San Jose and playing
Mm,
one of their two teams that are, I don't know what we call them. They're not parent teams, but affiliates, I guess, one of
there it
their
is.
parent affiliates. And you're going to have an issue because some of Sac's best players this year have come from San Jose and therefore won't be able to be used against them. But I think it would be,
Well, not necessarily. It
isn't isn't that the rule, that you can't play your loaned team?
You can. No, it's dependent on the team. We talked about this last week. When Richmond played DC last year, DC let Richmond's loanees play. Um,
So you have the
but
option.
yeah, Kansas City just said no, Orlando, you can't play your loanees. Um, and DC said, sure you can. And then DC won and Kansas City lost. So
Well,
I
that's
think it's
exciting. We'll
I
see
think
how
it's
that goes.
yeah. Yeah. I I'm excited. Hopefully it'll work.
Yeah, I would love to see Sacramento pull the upset against their parent team. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I like Sacramento and I don't like the Earthquakes, but I again, I'm all about the upsets as long as it's not my team. If it's not me, I want to see, like you said, I want to see the lower league teams be successful in this tournament. I love the idea of, even if it's a USL Pro team, I love the idea of one of them making it to the semis.
Yeah, or the
You know,
Railhawks. The Railhawks were close.
or the Railhawks, sure. I tell you what, Ian, if the Railhawks are continue to win, I will put my support behind them. Clearly, it works because when I took on an amateur team's flair for a week,
Yeah,
they won the game.
yeah,
So I've got the magic touch, and maybe I'll bequeath your Railhawks in the World Cup break when I don't need my Sounders flair.
yeah. Do it.
All right. Well, last second thoughts or any you want to throw out any bold predictions?
Bold predictions I have none of because I MLS action is just gonna be weird because of World Cup call-ups and shit.
Yeah.
But last second shout out to my new NPSL team, Gate City FC, out in Greensboro, North Carolina. They just announced that they are planning on building a stadium for themselves, and it's going to be very close to downtown, apparently.
What
So
a good idea.
that, yeah, downtown Greensboro is kind of underrated. Greensboro is like the same size, I think, as I don't know. It's in the top 100 population in terms
Wow.
of United States cities.
That's
Um,
great.
but it gets overlooked for Raleigh and Charlotte and Durham and shit. Point is, they're gonna have a stadium. They're gonna have a team. I'm gonna support it once I move back to North Carolina in a few weeks. I'm excited. You should be too.
Oh, we can help build your scarf wall with another one.
Yeah,
All
let's do
right.
it.
Okay. Well, I guess that's probably going to do it for this week. I'm glad we got to do a little junior edition for all of us here at /MLS Cast. We'll see you next week when we interview Remy DWD.